Thanks for joining us. And today we're going to talk about Kriya Yoga and Prana. So prana is a term that is used in Kriya Yoga and other yogic paths. Prana means life energy. And prana, actually the term in Sanskrit actually means breath. And so it's a recognition that breath and the flow of the life energy or life force within one's body is part of the same process. Often people will use pranayama, right, which we used in Kriya Yoga, in particular Kriya Yoga pranayama, as a means of moving the life force through the different architecture, the inner energetic architecture. So prana is used in different ways among different Kriya Yoga schools. We all use the pranayama, but some folks really focus on internal energetic experiences. So for example, Lahiri Baba, Lahiri Mahashai talked about the prana rising, right? So rising from the lower areas, the lower chakras, in particular the Muladhara chakra, etc., that prana rising up the spine and the consciousness moving up from the lower centers, the lower chakras, up to the upper centers in the ajna, the medulla, the kutastha area. And from there, having an inner experience where one has an expansion of consciousness. So some Kriya Yoga schools are very focused on prana. And in particular, they are focused on the sensations of prana, trying to make sure that the students are having certain energetic internal experiences. And one of the most common ones in many Kriya Yoga schools is to talk about the spiritual eye, the kutastha, right? What is also called the ajna chakra, ajna chakra. And so this is, talked about as sort of the spiritual eye has the ring of the gold with a inner ring of blue and then a star. And so many folks talk about, you need to have the experience of the spiritual eye, so in order to move into deeper aspects of meditation. And certainly these sensations, these experiences can appear. You can see lights in meditation when you're in an internalized state, right? What we call pratyahara in yoga, and especially when you get very internalized and become completely absorbed inside and experience this internalized void, which we call dharana, you can start to experience some of those things. Some Kriya Yoga schools really are very much prana focused. They talk about you need to be feeling this and feeling that sensation, or seeing the spiritual eye, or seeing colored lights inside, different chakras, hearing the sound of Om, right? All of this kind of stuff. And certainly those inner experiences are signposts along the way in your meditative journey, but they're not the end goal of your meditative journey, right? Because meditation, and in particular Kriya Yoga, we are trying to get internalized initially, right? Pratyahara is internalization, so we want to have that signs of us receding from our outer awareness, right? All of our senses, going, focusing outwards, right? Through touch, sight, sound, smell, taste, etc. And so when you get into Kriya Yoga and you follow pranayama technique and you start to get internalized, signs of the phrase response, you start to withdraw your consciousness within, right? And so some Kriya Yoga schools will talk about you need to feel these particular sensations or see these energies or experience these energies. And that is not that important, what specifically you're experiencing, because you, being the unique you, right? Nobody is exactly like you, right? You're going to have an inner unfolding that is unique to you. So whether or not you see the spiritual eye or hear the Om vibration is of no consequence. What you want is to set up a situation where you are doing your best to allow things to unfold within you, right? And so by doing that, you will experience subtle energetic changes within. And you will become aware of your inner energetic pathways, right? And so one of those pathways talked about in Kriya Yoga and other yogic paths is the Sushumna Nadi, right? The central core channel, where when one is drawn deep within, one can have that internalized experience of being deep inside the core, right? And what you may experience is energetic flows occurring with that, right? Spontaneous flows that you are currently unaware of in your regular consciousness because your consciousness is tuned outside. It is turned outside. You're not having an internalized consciousness. So when you get internalized, you can experience these energetic flows, right? So there are some Kriya Yoga schools that say, well, those flows, you know, the inner energetic stuff is not important. Really what it is just becoming aware of what's unconscious and then moving from matter to spirit. And certainly that is one perspective. I would say in contrast to that being aware of those inner energetic unfoldings is important. It's not important as an ultimate goal, but what it is important is in a process of unfolding, right? Now, the thing about inner energies is that we assume, unless we've had the direct experience, we assume that when we get internalized into, you know, seeing, being aware of chakras or of the Sushumna Nadi or seeing the spiritual eye or whatever, we assume it is going to be all peace and bliss inside, right? We assume that, right? But what we usually experience is that if we learn to open ourselves up, right, and we have done a little bit of inner unfolding to allow that process to happen, we often will run into what exists in our inner energetic matrix, our inner energetic architecture. And it's not all, as I've said in many cases, puppy dogs and fairy tales. It's not all peace and bliss. There's often stuff in there that is in an unprocessed state. Emotions, feelings, you know, experience and so on, that we basically pushed into that part of our energetic anatomy because we've used it as a place to store unresolved issues. And so it's like going down into the basement of the consciousness, if you will, and there's a whole bunch of old furniture, right? Maybe some of it's got broken legs, right? And you're like, oh, wow, I actually wanted to go into this inner vista, right, and experience this peace and this bliss. And you're like, whoa, there's like some old furniture, broken chairs down here, stuff that I don't even recognize because it came from somewhere else, right? So some of the stuff that we internalize, that we, you know, patterns that come from our, you know, our families, from our ancestry, cultural patterns, etc. It all has an energetic component, and often it's stored within our inner energetic architecture, right? And we don't even know that, right? So the schools that say that, oh, it's all about, you know, don't worry, it's just all subconscious stuff and you just need to move beyond it, I don't really feel that's a realistic perspective. You will need to deal with that stuff, and it has an energetic component to it, an energetic nature that you need to work through. So thankfully, Kriya Yoga has some fairly good methodologies to help to begin that process. Now, one of them is the Navi Kriya, right? And this is something taught by Lahiri Baba initially, right? And taught in some Kriya Yoga schools and not in others. It really has to do with the energy in the navel area. And Navi Kriya meaning to open up that inner energetic space. Now, at Modern Kriya, we are informed by a Taoist internal alchemy approach, and we use a lot of the Taoist internal alchemy methodologies and understandings of the way that the life force works in the body to help to give a clear picture of the process of inner unfolding. And this is directly applicable to Kriya Yoga, right? So Lahiri Baba taught Navi Kriya for a reason. And, you know, as you've heard with other teachers where they talk about, you know, if you do Kriya Yoga pranayama or Kriya Yoga practices without Navi Kriya, and then you add Navi Kriya, you're going to have a better internal meditative experience. So the reason that Navi Kriya is such a boon in Kriya Yoga practice is because it deals with energy in the navel area. In Taoist internal alchemy, we refer to this area in the lower abdomen as the lower dantian. And in particular, Taoist internal alchemy practices focus on refining energies or life force within this lower dantian, what they will call the cauldron, right? So it's a way that you can bring things, patterns that are unresolved or unprocessed feelings, emotions, etc., that have an energetic component, and actually work with it in what we call the lower dantian. And so Navi Kriya does something similar to help to bring our awareness into it, to open up the inner space of that. And, you know, at Modern Kriya, we teach a Taoist internal alchemy practice, which is very simple, called ocean breathing. And this is not Ujjayi breathing. It is a way of learning to open up the energy in the lower abdominal area, right, with gentle motion, right? And so check out that video on ocean breathing because, you know, if you do Navi Kriya adding ocean breathing to your Kriya Yoga practice will help to enhance it. So a lot of us carry tension in the thoracic area, right? And this is where the diaphragm, the thoracic diaphragm, sits just under the rib cage, basically. And what it does is it allows our lungs to fill up, right? When we're doing Kriya Pranayama, we want to be allowing the diaphragm to drop down so the lungs can inflate for a longer period of time. You can have a more fulsome breath. So a lot of us have this habitual tension in the solar plexus area, which impacts our ability to breathe. So by doing ocean breathing, you are both allowing your thoracic diaphragm to relax with this belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, right? And you are also tuning into your lower abdominal area, the lower dantian, to open up your inner energetic space, right? To allow things to start to flow more harmoniously. So if you have any questions about this video, feel free to send me an email at info@modernkriya.com. Also check our website at modernkriya.com and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.